Good afternoon, DGens. We are back with another video. It's Friday. I got my fun sunglasses on. These are actually my wife's, but long story short, um, look, we want to we're here to give you guys insights as to what's coming up in the market, short, medium, and long. So we got some stories we want to cover. Trump just picked his VP pick, JD Vance. What are the implications of that? I hear he's pro crypto. Maybe you guys know a bit more.
Jen in
We
the White House.
we have the ETH ETF going live on Tuesday. What are our expectations for the inflows, impact on the price? We can get into that a bit. There's some other macro stuff we want to talk about, so we'll see where all the conversation goes. But all right, let's kick it off, guys. JD Vance was just announced. I don't know how many JD Vance coins got created over the week. We're not going to talk about them. They're probably all pump and dumps. But what does this mean for crypto policy, right? It seems like at least the Republicans are looking more and more bullish on crypto. What's JD Vance got to do with it?
So I hadn't heard of JD Vance until Tuesday when he got announced. I think we had just gotten off a call actually speculating about who's going to get picked, and they announced it like 30 minutes later. So I have no idea about his politics in general. I'm assuming they're basic Republican conservative talking point type stuff. I've heard he's not a big, he's kind of an anti-establishment kind of guy. But what I did find out is he is he is major bullish on crypto. He's been a crypto holder for a long time. So when he got elected, all the senators, anybody in the government, they've got to disclose their holdings, any new investments they make. And so in 2022, he disclosed, they say they didn't give us exact numbers, said up to $250,000 in Bitcoin, which he hasn't filed any he hasn't filed any new reporting saying he's sold any of that. So he's probably sitting on somewhere between, $500,000 and $1 million just in Bitcoin alone. And he's rumored to hold a lot of other top projects. Guy's been very active talking about crypto and writing crypto legislation. He helped to recently to put forward one of the bills to crush one of the regulations around banks not being able to custody crypto for their holders. He was a big proponent in that, and he's about to release a new bill. I think it's supposed to be out in August. That is being touted as even better than the current bill that just passed the House in terms of deciding on who and how regulates digital assets. So it looks like moving the focus from the SEC to the CFTC or whatever that other organization is. Anyways, long story short, the dude is a crypto OG. He's a DGen, and I think he's going to be great for the sector. So, I was hoping we'd get Vivek as the VP pick, but I think this guy is turning out to be very, very bullish, at least for our industry.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add to that. Obviously, he's pro crypto, so I think that's what kind of gave him the nudge. If you guys tuned in to the speech that Trump gave yesterday at the RNC, he had a whole 2 minutes about crypto custody, allowing self-custody, wanting to make Bitcoin in America, not going to do CBDCs. And I think this pick was for him to get kind of a front row seat, inject himself into the ecosystem, into that knowledge. And he understands that apparently 47 million Americans own crypto. Now, that could be $1 worth. Not everybody owns a big amount, but that's a lot of people who already have interesting eyes, already have a reason, if they're one count of voters, to vote for Trump because he's pro crypto. Democrats, not just Biden, all the way down the line, are all anti-crypto. They want CBDCs. So if you don't want CBDCs and you own crypto, then there's only one ticket to do, and I think JD Vance kind of solidifies that ticket.
I think it's a good point. I think there's,
if you don't mind.
I think there's a lot of. Go ahead, Ian. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna say real quick, just to give sort of a little context in terms of the vice president and his ability to effect change. It is relatively limited. Now, everything you said is very positive, but so the president can act by fiat to some degree with executive orders, but those are often overturned because there is a lot of things that the president can only do if there's like a law that Congress, essentially both houses of the House and the Senate, pass a bill, the president signs it. That's the normal way to get a new law into place. But you can have executive orders. And I think overall it's a good thing, but it's just to be clear, it's not as if JD Vance can come in and like just write some laws and make switch the policy up. It's going to take concerted effort across all the people within all the decision makers of the government, House, Senate, etc., to make these changes. But it is a positive step, and I think the fact that he owns that much crypto, I love that. I think we need a millennial. He's a millennial, right?
He's 39.
Power. This is positive.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point there with it really, I look at it's similar to crypto, like what the US president is actually able to do versus what the narrative is.
Yeah.
The president has become so important, not because he actually has the power to do that much stuff, not technically, even though they bend those rules a little bit, but he's the face of America. When he goes out on TV, when he goes to another country, when he goes to like a G20 summit and says something, whether or not it's true, whether or not he has the ability to enact that, it moves numbers, it moves the stock market, it moves crypto, has an impact on policy. And so having a guy like JD Vance backing Trump, who's going to be out there, a very public figure, very the face of the company being America, I think that makes a big difference in the way narratives flow. And the same thing with crypto. People come out and they say, oh, our tech's going to do this, our tech's going to do that. Who knows, right? But it's all about the marketing, it's about the image, about the trend. And like we've talked about, community and hype have become the number one metric in success metric in crypto right now. And I think that kind of leads into a bit what Nick was talking about with single item voters, or people that are going to make their vote, cast their vote based on one or two items. The politics in America has become so divisive, and our candidates really, frankly, suck for the most part. And so there's a lot of people that are, kind of just saying, okay, what's going to make me money? Who's going to, who's going to make me money? Who's going to make my life specifically better? I don't care what color tie they're wearing. And so for people that are in the, that crypto camp, this might be one of those line items that pushes them one way or the other.
Yeah, I think it's smart politics. We've talked about this before on the show. People do vote with their pocket, their wallet. It's it's the economy, stupid, is that old phrase, and it's people's money, stupid. And so if you have one party that's trying to basically wreck everybody in an industry, or one party that's trying to pump the bags, well, who are we going to vote for? So I think it's smart politics. I'm excited to see what Trump says next week. He's speaking at Bitcoin Nashville. You guys are going to be there.
Yes.
So maybe you'll actually catch that speech live. That'd be freaking awesome. But yeah, I didn't know. By the way, I did not know that Trump actually last night in his speech to the RNC talked about Bitcoin. That's massive. How did I not hear that?
Yep. He had a whole spiel on it. He talked about Bitcoin. He talked about crypto in general. He talked about allowing self-custody, because there has been regulation kind of pushing against self-custody and making people go to centralized exchange. He said he doesn't want that. And he said there will be no CBDCs under his leadership, which obviously we know is good. Because even if you're not in crypto, CBDCs kind of invade your privacy, and you should want some privacy from the government on what you're buying and what you're spending. But also, if there's no CBDCs and you want digital currencies, then you're going to focus on stable coins, which ultimately leads you to interest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins. So all positive things that he said yesterday during the speech.
But I think it's just part of the overall ethos that'll bring people outside of crypto to potentially vote for him, is that it kind of falls back on this bringing industry back to the States. We led the Web 2 revolution, and right now we are falling way behind in the Web 3 revolution because we've pushed it all offshore. If you're a crypto company, it's almost impossible, or it's certainly not advisable, to open up your entity in the US, because you're immediately going to draw the ire of the SEC. You're going to have all sorts of pressure on you. It's very, very difficult to launch a token successfully under the current regulatory landscape. I can't talk today. And so seeing Trump say these kind of things, that he's gonna, wants to make Bitcoin built in America again, I think people are seeing that as a sign that they're gonna open up, and we're gonna see similar results to what happened with our economy when we led the Web 2 revolution, and that new opportunity with Web 3. It's not just going to affect crypto people, it's going to affect the overall economy. And right now, that's what people care about most.
I love it. Smart politics. Very, very bullish news, and there's gonna be more bullish news next week. We'll see how this impacts the Trump meme coins, which we won't talk about on today's show. But this thing is a nice segue to talk a little bit about, because it was a political issue, and politics ultimately are what caused the SEC to do that 180 on the Ethereum ETF, which was preliminarily approved back in May, but finally we got guidance and official word that next Tuesday, maybe by the time this video is out, the Ethereum ETF should be open for trading. 180 on the Ethereum ETF. Which was preliminarily approved back in May, but finally we got guidance and official word that next Tuesday, maybe by the time this video is out, the Ethereum ETF should be open for trading. 180 on the Ethereum ETF. Which was preliminarily approved back in May, but finally we got guidance and official word that next Tuesday, maybe by the time this video is out, the Ethereum ETF should be open for trading. So what is your guys' expectation on this ETF? What kind of inflows do you think we can expect? What is this going to do for the price of Ethereum in the short, medium, and long term?
Yeah, I mean, I've been rooting for this. We've been saying that this was going to come by the end of July. Now it looks like it's almost here. Obviously, with all the spot ETFs, it's going to create inflows and buy pressure of Ethereum, which is long-term bullish. Now, what we did see in Bitcoin ETF is we did have a little bit of a blip. And why is that? Well, just like with the Bitcoin spot ETF, Grayscale does have an Ethereum product. They are converting this product to the Ethereum spot ETF, so people don't have to make the switch, but they are not lowering their fees. Grayscale fees are still going to be 2.5%, and the competitors are going to be somewhere between 0.25% as low as 0.1%. So those people have to make a choice. A, you stay in the Grayscale, you avoid that taxable event, or B, you look towards the long term, which means you got to sell your Grayscale product, which sells Ethereum into the market, and then you buy back the same amount or more on the BlackRock or Fidelity or whatever to get the lower fee. So what this does, it does do a minor blip because Grayscale does sell that Ethereum into the market, but when they inevitably buy back into a cheaper ETF, which usually takes a couple days, they buy back the same amount off the market as well. So that can create a little bit of volatility until all the ducks get in a row, until all the people decide if they're going to stay with Grayscale or move out to the cheaper fee basis of another opportunity. But ultimately, it is going to put a ton of buy pressure. We saw with Bitcoin, Germany, 50,000 Bitcoin sold. Mt. Gox has already given out 33% of their Bitcoin, and it's all getting gobbled up by the Bitcoin spot ETF. The same will apply for the Ethereum spot ETF, but the crazy thing is Mt. Gox has no Ethereum. Germany has no Ethereum. There is way less Ethereum in the hands of people who are going to sell them, in the hands of governments, and in the hands of hacked centralized exchanges over the years. So the upside potential is actually massive for Ethereum, sitting at a much smaller market cap than Bitcoin, and it's already deflationary with the switch to proof of stake.
Yeah, the Mt. Gox FUD has proven to be somewhat of a nothing burger, it seems. Granted, all of that, all of the Bitcoin that's being sent around has not been distributed yet. I think Kraken announced earlier this week that they received something like 48,000 Bitcoin or something along those lines that they were going to be then distributing over the next 7 to 14 days. Initially, we saw a little bit of I think it was like a 3% dump the day after that was announced. But look at today, Bitcoin's pumped. It's up to almost 67,000, I think, today. So, I mean, next week might be a kind of a, sideways boring week where we, bounce in this range here between the low 60s and where we're at now. But it doesn't look like it's going to have the same kind of effect that Germany selling off did, for a number of factors. One, we just, everybody's super bullish right now with everything that's going on, all the different market catalysts. And two, a lot of the people that are getting their Bitcoin from Mt. Gox, some of them aren't selling, or some of them are only selling part of it. It's not like what the German government did where they had to liquidate all 50,000. They had to do it as quickly as possible. So it was just sell, 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 sell. What is going to be sold is going to be spaced out over the next couple of weeks. So, aside from maybe stagnating the market for a week or two, I don't think the Mt. Gox is really going to have a huge impact on the price of Bitcoin. Might just cool things off for a week or two as we come into August here.
Yeah, I'm less worried about the Mt. Gox thing, but what is interesting about the ETH ETF as it relates to Mt. Gox is there is no Ethereum in the hands of creditors, basically, right? Like it was in the Mt. Gox situation or a confiscated Ethereum. If you look at Ethereum and the order books, apparently there's not a lot for sale. About 30% of the entire supply is being staked. And so I don't know. The one thing is to the ETF that could end up being kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news is if the inflows are much less than expectations. That could end up being a negative if we see like very low. And there's actually a chance that we might see very low, at least in the beginning. If I recall, in the beginning of the Bitcoin ETFs, it was a bit low, or at least there were times when it was a bit low, but then it kind of does ramp up and goes with the market. So ultimately, long term, I think it's very bullish. I would not be surprised if we see even just at expectation inflows. And by the way, no one is saying it's going to be the inflows like we're seeing with Bitcoin. Ethereum is a smaller asset. There just is by nature less interest in it because it's a newer asset. People still have to wrap their heads around it, understand the use case, get convinced of it, all those things. But even if we're coming in at expectations, I would not be surprised if we're looking at 4K ETH by the end of this month. I really would not be that. I would not be surprised. That would only be, we're at 3,500 now basically, so it's actually not that much percentage-wise, believe it or not, to get back to those levels. We'll see what happens. Long term, I think it's nothing but bullish. Now Wall Street and people who don't want to buy the underlying asset can invest in Ethereum. I mean, it's fantastic. It's an incredible thing. I'm super bullish on it long term. We'll see how it plays out in the short. But yeah, so a few other topics. I know we covered the Mt. Gox thing. Nick, do you have any take on that? Like, yes, it's there. The overhang is there. It's actually a pretty significant amount. But do you believe, to Nate's point, these people are hodlers? Or people even getting it all right now?
Most people watching the show might not have even heard of Mt. Gox, or they hear this doom and gloom, but they don't understand the origin. Mt. Gox, this happened in 2011. These are the OGs of the OGs. These are the Richard Harts of the world. These are the Vitalik of the world. These are the Charles Hoskinson. So these people are probably already doing well. They've already re-upped their bags. I do not believe they're going to be selling much of these Bitcoin. I personally believe if you're going to sell anything, realize they're also getting Bitcoin Cash. So those Bitcoin were locked up in the exchange at the time of the hard fork of Bitcoin. So each Bitcoin got 1 Bitcoin Cash. Those people don't care about Bitcoin Cash. So if they need the money, I feel like the first thing they're going to sell is the Bitcoin Cash allocation they get, and they're going to hodl the Bitcoin. And then the remaining Bitcoin, if these people are OGs, they know more than ever the 4-year cycle that we've seen. So what do they know? They know we're in the middle of the 4-year cycle. Why would they want to sell their Bitcoin now if there's another 50%, 100%, 200% upside if they wait another 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now? So I don't think these are people who are hurting for money. I think they understand the cycle. And remember, if they need the money, they got the Bitcoin Cash, they'll dump the Bitcoin Cash. I think the only Bitcoin that's really going to be sold is, of course, there's some outliers of those OGs, but some of the Bitcoin goes to court fees. Some of the Bitcoin goes to lawyer fees. Those probably get liquidated. But how much of the percentage of that really is for that, I'm not positive. But outside that, I think it's kind of a nothing burger. And a lot of that, like I said, there was already a distribution on July 5th, and there's already been a distribution on July 15th. So I'm assuming lawyers and courts get paid first. So maybe a lot of that Bitcoin has already been front run and dumped in the weakness of the market when Germany was selling as well.
Nate, any thoughts? Any additional thoughts on that? I was just gonna say
No.
I was just gonna say that I'm not worried about it. Bottom line, I do think there is gonna be some sell pressure from it, but I think there's gonna be much more buy pressure overcome that. There's a huge catalyst. I think was even mentioned on the show before, coming later this year, and that's the FTX creditors, who are apparently getting 18 billion in stable coins back. So that's actually double the amount of all the Bitcoin that's being distributed. Not all of it's going to be sold. So double that amount is going back to FTX creditors in the form of stable coins. I don't know if all of them are going to go back into the markets. Probably not. But half, even a quarter. That's a lot of now new buy pressure coming at the end of this year. Timed nicely with the Trump election. Timed nicely with interest rate cuts. So another huge catalyst, probably an underappreciated catalyst. But that's only a few months away, guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing. We got more Bitcoin coming out of the market from Mt. Gox than what Germany sold, but the chances of them getting sold is far less, and it's not an immediate liquidation like Germany had to do. You've got the money coming in from FTX. You've got the bullish sentiment around the ETFs. You got the bullish sentiment around all the political stuff going on. You have a weakening dollar. You've got rate cuts coming in September. There's just too much bullish news going on right now that these guys that are OG crypto dudes, they're likely not going to sell. They're looking for a better price. So that doesn't concern me much. Like I said, I think absolute worst case scenario, it stifles Bitcoin's rise back to an all-time high for a week or two, kind of keeps us stagnated. But I don't see us doing like what happened with Germany, where we dump back down into the 50s. And if it does, it's just the last chance best buying opportunity on everything. We were talking just before this, before we started recording. In the last 2 weeks, some of the top coins, like some of the top AI projects, we're down to they're already back up 3x from where they dipped to with the Bitcoin sell-off. So if you get an opportunity like that again, those are golden opportunities. That's not something that means the markets are done, bull runs over. Look at these as a gift if the markets give it to us. So maybe best case scenario for all of us degens is that all these Mt. Gox guys dump and send us back down into the 50s, so we can all scoop up some more tokens at fire sale prices. Maybe that's the outlook we should have, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, and to add on, Ian, you said 4,000 by the end of the month for Ethereum, and I think that's very easily attainable. And I've been saying 10,000 Ethereum by the end of the year, and that is because of the ETH spot ETF. the consolidation that's going to occur from Grayscale into these other products, and then all the other bullish catalysts that we're talking about. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. That's what I'm going with, and that's starting to lead some of these altcoins higher. We're seeing some major ETH altcoins starting to come alive. Obviously, these are still the large cap altcoins, not really trickled down to the mid tier and the low tier just yet. But yeah, everybody was saying Bitcoin was dead. Everybody's saying was Bitcoin top when Germany was selling their tokens. Remember those influencers, unfollow those influencers and stop listening to them, because now you're backwards in the hole. By tomorrow, if Bitcoin goes up again, they're going to be posting nonstop about how new all-time highs are coming and your portfolio is absolutely wrecked. So that's the nature of this game. People get too emotional and the KOLs get paid to be emotional. So you got to look through the BS and find the real winners in this space, have some conviction, and take your time, DCA, and find those good entries.
That's what it's all about. Conviction, belief, understanding where we are in this cycle. We've been on record many, many times in the show. This bull run is just getting started, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hodl, do what you need to do. Not financial advice as always, but we will see you on the beach.